Hi there, I'm Sasha Verhaeg, and I'm delighted to introduce Harry Carris. Harry is an inspiration of mine, and it's truly an honor to have him here. He's visiting from the Netherlands, and he will be sharing one of his passions in the world, which overlaps with one of my passions, which is wine and winemaking, in particular Chateauneuf-du-Pape, which I view as one of the greatest wines in the world. So I'm delighted to share him today with you all and have a background on the story itself behind the book, as well as a book signing after and a nice catered meal to supplement both red and white Chateauneuf-du-Pape wines. I think Harry's background is rather curious in terms of how he ended up with a book in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Started out as a rock star. He actually played with Carlos Santana.
Long hair.
And he, so he started as a rock star, then became a chef, and then became a medical doctor. I think the epiphany was...
I like to change things in my life.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll hear more about it, but then he quickly discovered his love for Chateauneuf-du-Pape, said there's no good book out there, so let me write it. And he spent 5 years of his life, quit his job, which was being a medical doctor, and spent 5 years of his life writing this book. It's self-funded, and I can't think of anyone more passionate about Chateauneuf than Harry Carris. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure of me to be in, they say, the heart of Google. I think Google is, I'm a computer freak. My first experience was Commodore 64, damn thing. And, I went through DOS, the PCs, and, I think I probably hit Control, Alt, Delete thousands of times. So I got in Mac and, I got the piece. So I'm a Mac guy, so that you know. Doesn't have to do anything with Google, I think. But I can tell you that I use Google in a way, even more than the Navi system. When I come over to the United States, I have a Hertz car with the never lost system, and I got always lost. And since a couple of years, I'm not using it. So what I do when I'm at home, I plan my trip, and with Google, of course, and print it out. It works perfect with me. So, welcome. Wine, passion. I think they go together, as many things can go together. Love, let me tell you, he introduced me, so with a few things to put things in perspective. That's, I think, important for you to know why I came up to do this, because it's, the changes Sasha just mentioned are not always natural. Sometimes things happen in life, or you are forced to make a decision. So let's go back to where it starts or where it ends. It's the project of Chateauneuf-du-Pape Wine Book. It's a 500-page book. It took me 4 or 5 years, 2 to 3 years of research, traveling to Chateauneuf-du-Pape. I'm living in the south of the Netherlands, and that's exactly 1,000 kilometers from Chateauneuf-du-Pape. I probably traveled 60, 70 times down, back. So you can imagine a lot of traveling. But yeah, I enjoy traveling, so that's no problem for me. But when you have to deal with something, you go to a wine, a wine region, and already quite famous. And you go there as a Dutchman, and they see you, and you tell them, okay, I want to write a book on Chateauneuf. The first thing they do is close the door. They're afraid, oh no, again, a man wants to bash us and tell us what to do or how to do or give us points. So it took me, I think, more than 1-2 years to get their trust, to get to the basic of the information I was after, to get information about the wineries, but not just the wineries, but also the vineyard, the localization of the vineyards. It was so difficult to find out because secret. Even the neighbor sometimes did not know. So I'm very happy that from most of the winemakers I have the detailed information of the vineyards, because sometimes it can explain why a wine tastes like it does. The book was the first project. It's already had the idea to make a wine guide as well, and in the slipstream of the book, people ask to get more detailed information on wine. So in the wine guide, the small wine guide, there is information on almost every wine made in Chateauneuf-du-Pape, and close to 600 different. Let me tell you, when I told a friend of mine in the beginning of 2004 or 2005 that I wanted to write a book on Chateauneuf-du-Pape, he was, what you mean? He knew about wines, and he was like, Chateauneuf-du-Pape? You're writing a book on one wine? So that's sometimes people have the idea Chateauneuf-du-Pape is a brand, They watch the bottle and they forget about the label. They just see the embossed logo and they forget that there are so many winemakers behind. So probably more than 300 winemakers. So in total they produce, when you take into account the négociants as well, probably 1,000 different bottles. I think the last thing is one of the things I did not realize. You have to know that my nickname before that I fell in love with Chateauneuf-du-Pape was actually Bordeaux Harry. So, and I traveled a lot when I was fortunate enough. I became a doctor, and Sasha said, I traveled a lot over the world to go to fancy tastings, all expensive wines. I thought that's okay, that's how, I can afford it. I was interested in wine. But all of a sudden, very strange, I watch myself in the mirror and ask myself the question, do you really get the pleasure out of it? As you maybe should or could or whatever. And I said, maybe not enough. So I was at that time more open-minded. So it was not just Chateauneuf and the best, most expensive wines in the world. I was more looking for a different wine, a more hedonistic style. So I knew Chateauneuf already, a few winemakers, the bigger names, Bocastel, Piguet. But when I traveled to Chateauneuf-du-Pape, and I think it was in 2005 for the first time, actually I traveled already in '78, my year of marriage. And my wife is still, after all these changes, with me. So that's a miracle. Because I can tell you, when you make these changes, when we go back to the time I played as a guitarist in a rock and roll band, at the age of 20, I got married. At that time it was common. And my wife was in catering, so we started a restaurant. I became a chef. We worked for 6 years, very hard, tough, made good money, invested in one of my hobbies, so they changed already, a new change. I started a guitar store, building guitars. Purchased many guitars from the United States. It was early 80s. The Fenders, Gibsons. And at that time, the dollars, the currency was very strong. So I had to pay a lot of money to get them over. And within half a year, the dollar came down. So I was stuck with all these Fenders and Gibsons. I have to almost to give them away. So I got broke. And that's, you do not realize that these things can happen when your life is just going like this, you know, and then you see, okay, it can go like this, but you can also go like this, and you're down. Two little children. What do you want to do? Okay, I did not want to go back in a restaurant, a rock star. Okay, no rock star again. I needed a new challenge. A new challenge in a way. It sounds a bit arrogant, but you know, I need the ultimate challenge to push myself to get the best out of me. And I was skipping things, and you know, I felt responsible for my wife and children. I wanted to do something that I secured the life, secured in a way financially. So I said, okay, let's become a doctor. Can you imagine? I went to my family and I said, I want to become a doctor, and they just staring at you. Okay, you go home, Harry. There's something really wrong with Harry. And I even did not get, you know, primary school. You know, we have a different system. Did not have math, science, or chemistry. So I said, okay, I want to do. I want to take this ultimate challenge. So I did a speedy course, 6 months. I traveled every day to University City, where you could do a special course preparing for math or science or everything. And the application, we call that the colloquium doctum for the university. And I succeeded to get the application. So, but then we have the numerous fixes system, which means that that's a lottery. So some students, they take 3-4 years, they can get entrance, and so it's the same for me. So because it's about average ratings you have, I was low on the step. So I got in the system in the lottery, and first year hit. So I could start at age of 33. I never forget when I came there for the first time, all these young people, oh my gosh, 18 years, 19 years, I was sitting there 33 with wife, 2 kids. But I think that was for me a learning process to study together with young people that encouraged me to, you know, to even be more disciplined. Even they were having party, and you know, I just have eye for the study, and you know, I went through very smooth through it, so everything went well. So I got my degree after 4 years, and 2 years I did the medical, what do you call that here, the residency, or yeah. And the 6 years I started working as a medical doctor, and I tried to at the beginning to become a GP, or I like to help people in a way to on a low threshold, and that didn't work out because it should have taken me more than 3 more years, and without paying out anything. I wanted to make at least a little bit of money, so I started working, and at the same time I could do the specialization for occupational health specialist. So I did 4 years together with my work, and I finished that as well. Was employed for a couple of years and saw, okay, they make a lot of money on me, I can do the same. So I got self-employed, and my last job was at Coca-Cola in Western Europe. I worked at a very good job, well paid. So imagine, I'm coming home, well-paid job. I told my wife, maybe it's time for another change. I'm going to write a book. No. Okay, I think she was prepared because of the many changes already, but I can tell you. And you know, when I started with this idea and working on and traveling, there was no such thing as a crisis going on. You imagine, banks were very, in total, I want to share with you, it cost me €500,000, the whole project. So when you go to the bank and you go back in the middle of a crisis and you say, I need some money for the printing for my book in Hong Kong. And although they promised me to help me, they said, okay, you're not working anymore as a medical doctor. So it's a crisis. So, no, you do not get money. You have everything ready, big book, but you are not able to print it. That's a huge frustration. I had a very nice wine cellar of 5,000-6,000 bottles of high-end wines, and I was really forced to sell most of them to finance the printing of the book and make a living at that time because I was not selling anything. So, but finally, to go back to my commercial instinct, because I was self-employed, I want to do the whole thing myself. I'm a control freak. I'm honest. I'm a control. Who's a control freak here? Okay. Now, I think you need to be at least partly a control freak to do this yourself. I did this together with my son. My son was a photographer and a graphical designer. He's an artist. He's an artist without really serious studying, and I'm so thankful I never forced him that he, to go to this or that university, because this made him free. That he was not limited or biased by anything, by any teacher, or he learned to go his own way and believe in his own capacities, and in how an artist is, they can be freakish, they can be, it had to happen this way. One of the first time I went to Chateauneuf-du-Pape, I already decided to make a book. I purchased a small camera, digital camera. I thought, okay, make some pictures myself. I went home and I showed my son, very proud pictures, and he said, "You're not going to put these in a book." I said, "You can do better." Yes, and ever since we traveled together, and I think he took about 25,000, 30,000 photos. So that's, but that's the research. You gathering things and put things together. You have here and files on the computer everywhere, and you gather things from wineries, and then still you have to write a book to put everything together. To be honest, I'm not a writer. I still do not feel really as a writer. Being a writer was a major challenge to deal with this, especially, and I think the good thing was the timing. The Adobe InDesign 3.4 just came out, and that was a big help, because with the InDesign these days you can really make a good book yourself if you can manage the program. So I did not, but my son, he's talented and creative. So, and that's when we finished the book and it was ready for printing in Hong Kong. I decided to do it in Hong Kong. I can tell you, we need to prepay the half of the printing cost, and you send over to Hong Kong. Yeah, you think, okay, everything can happen, and never saw the people, that good contact. So everything is in trust at that time. So everything went well. So that's a good part. And I started my own publishing company for one book. So when you go in the Netherlands to the bookstore, that's very easy. You can sell directly. So I was very naive. I went to the United States. I went to Barnes & Noble. Nice book. You want to sell it? Oh, yeah, great. Nice book. Who's your distributor? I said, I'm a publisher myself. And, oh no, you need to have a distributor or wholesaler. I said, why? We do not have a system. You're not in Europe. You're in the United States. So, there you see, you're not experienced and the naive thought and I lacked time before to do research on this. I did it I think in the wrong sequence. I had to do it in the beginning, a little bit more research on this and would not have happened. But anyhow, this happened. So I got a delay in to get it on the market here. About 6, 7, 8 months. Because I went to the distributor and they said, okay, we're going to sell. I said, okay, when? And they say, okay, it gets in the brochure of next year autumn. It was end of 2009. And so that's it. You have to deal with it. The crisis, I think, played a role that it was a, expensive book in the beginning, 89, later a little bit less expensive, though. Europe was selling very well, but it took really a while to that the sales here, they went off a little bit. And I saw that internet was a big help. At that time I used Google AdWords. Thank you. It was very efficient. When you Google now my name, first page, and that's what it's about. Promotion, indirect promotion. So in the slipstream of the big book, meanwhile we were working on a second book, the wine guide, and a third book, because some bookstores said it's too expensive and too big. We do not want to have it, in stock. And that made me thinking, and okay, why not compressing this book and make it kind of, get the details out of it and make it more attractive in general, and more full-page pictures. So that's the book we are working on right now, and will be released end of the year. Also, technology, ebook, big challenge for me. And because I think this is the future. This version, both versions are on a credit card in PDF. So you can run them even on I have them on my iPhone, even when but you have all information there. iPad works perfect, PC, Mac. And especially people who travel in the wine business, they send me email. The book is so heavy, and when you have to go overseas, you pay a lot of money for every kilo you travel with. So that brought me up the idea to make an ebook. So there is a ebook version in the credit card, but we also have a download version for people on the side. Now the why and how, I just explained. I'm going not in sequence with my slides, but that's how I work. This is Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Let's talk about Chateauneuf-du-Pape, where the passion came from. This was one of the first views I got when I got in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. And I saw this and I said, I feel home. I feel home. It's the same thing, and I have to be honest, I traveled for many years to the United States. When I'm here in the United States, especially in California, I feel home. Maybe it has to do something with everything is tiny and tight in the Netherlands, and here everything is spacious. And, I just like to be here. So, but this was one of the first shots you see in the distance, the castle. Chateauneuf-du-Pape has a really interesting history. I recommend when you have interest in a book to read the history. It started with the popes in the 13th century, and they built a castle there, and there's a kind of romantic story around the popes that they were all already involved in making Chateauneuf wines, but I think it's more the romantic story that it than that it actually happened. So, but it's very interesting when you to read the whole story, also the history of the winemaker in general. The castle we just saw in the background. The castle unfortunately was destroyed in 45 by the German, and they blew up part of it. And you see the picture in the left corner below. That was how it was before. And I think, to be honest, when you see, I will show you another picture. Even when it's you know it doesn't sound right when they blow up your castle, I think the remnants look more interesting than this edgy castle. Let's have a look at the next. You see this? This would have looked totally different when it would have existed like before. And when you ever go to Chateauneuf-du-Pape, you will know and you will find out why. Okay, geography. When I'm in the United States, I often ask people, do you know where the Netherlands is? Oh, let me check Google. Yeah, no. Now, you know, I know Americans are not good in geography in general. Let me put it very, you Google guys, ladies, you know everything, I'm sure. But, okay, but it's now about the region. You see, you have France, when you go in the south, there's Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So it's close to the sea. It has a very hot climate. And when we go, hey, what's this? Oh, I hope I have the copyrights. I'll ask for the, oh, see here, there's Google. I put Google on it. I had the first picture, there was no Google on it, so I changed that. So I saw it just in time. But you can see, you see Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and to the left there's the Rhone. The Rhone River is coming from Lyon down, and you have the Rhone you have divided in Northern Rhone and Southern Rhone. Châteauneuf-du-Pape is located in the Southern Rhone. That's about 25 kilometers from Avignon and 110 kilometers from Marseille. So it's very much in the south. Another picture, close to the Mont Ventoux, when you see the Mont Ventoux when you are a cycler or, you know, other Lance Armstrong fans. Okay, so you know, I think Lance, he did one or two times the Mont Ventoux. I think he had 7 times the French cyclist thing. Beautiful city, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, but in the evening nothing happens. So that's really boring. So you better be warned. I know that many people went there, high expectations, to have a dance or whatever. In the evening, there's nothing going on. To give you an idea of the size of the actually the wine region, you see to the left upper corner, you see the green. The green is Châteauneuf-du-Pape, compared with the Napa and Bordeaux. So you see it's very tiny in production, although it's as a region is not that small in production. 100,000 hectoliters is a good amount to sell and to have enough to produce enough bottles to supply the world, you know, to get to all countries. That's important for a wine region. It's divided in lieux-dits, so in cadastral names. And when you see, and people should be, I think, more aware of that. This is not flat. You see the north is flat, then you have a plateau, then the west is really chalky, and eastern part is sandy, the south part is gravelly, way more warmer. So, you know, what makes these wines very special is that the winemakers, they have actually scattered vineyards all over. And there's the one who has 64 plots all over Chateauneuf-du-Pape. And you imagine what he has to do when it's harvest time. And that's a tough job, I can tell you. You see the climate, it's a very hot, a lot of sunshine. Although the winters can be really cold, I get some snow. I go through these a little bit faster. What's unique for this area is a Mistral. The Mistral is a cold wind building up, and we'll see going up to the Alps, coming back from the Alps in the Rhone valley, and it's a cold wind. And when you will visit Châteauneuf-du-Pape, you will never know exactly when it will blow or not. And when it blows, it can really blow your ears off. I can tell you, 110, 120 kilometers per hour. And that's, so you're not able to sit out or eat outside. It's tough. If you see from this side, it's not pleasant, because if it's in the winter, it's so, the actual feel of the cold is so intense. But for the vines, it's natural protection for yeast, for viruses. It's really a blessing. And you see the trees are sometimes banded, so from the north to the south. You can see here the vines. People think that Châteauneuf-du-Pape and the stones are, you know, you only find stones in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. But I think 50% or 60% is just covered by stones. And the other part is partly or even without any stones. For instance, Chateau Rayas, very famous Chateauneuf producer, there is no stone at all. So it's sandy, deep sandy soil. And so you have many differences in soil type, as we can see in the next one. You see the gravel, the size of the stone, they can be this large, and you can imagine when you have to do a harvest on these stones, that's tough. That's very tough. The roots of the vines can go in depending on how the layer is. You see, this is just behind the castle in the north with the plateaus. You have very much undulating areas. You have flat areas. You have plateaus, and this is in the west. This was talking about the chalky. So the wines here, I think the best whites are coming from this part. The higher minerality, natural, and acidity. The grape varieties. The main grape variety is Grenache. For me, when I was still in my Bordeaux, Grenache was a sissy wine. But you really, you would not drink this, and you know, with people who love Bordeaux or Burgundy, even. I had to come over that image, and I came over it, because I can tell you, when you have a hedonistic wine, I think only Grenache can give you the special feeling, the suspense you cannot define, and you do not need to define, because that's something you get inside. You know, that's the hedonistic enjoyment, and you just lay over and enjoy the wine and forget about analyzing BS. It's about the pleasure. It's about the pleasure of the wine. Besides the Grenache, it's about 60–70% Grenache in the region, and then you have the Syrah. Syrah is a good blending opponent to use with the Grenache and the Mourvèdre. The Mourvèdre is the kind of, in Chateauneuf-du-Pape, stinky grape variety. Whenever people had the chance to taste a Bocastel, an older one, especially the 89 and 90, can be really dungy wines. I remember a friend of mine who's living in Camarillo. He came over 5-6 years ago, and he was only in big Napa wines, and I said, okay, you have to taste this. Chateauneuf. Okay, I poured it in a glass. It was the 89 Bocastel. So he was swirling around and said, Harry, this is pure shit. I can tell you, you know, that's the beginning, but it opens up, and he fell in love with Chateauneuf. He discovered what I did discover, the diversity. You have the shitty wine, you have the elegant wine, you have the sexy wine, you have the, you know, the rustic wines. It's never boring. It would be boring if there was just one style, you know? And someone used, the winemaker used oak, there are winemakers like Chauvet, only concrete. There are winemakers who make a blend. You know, the diversity in style and wines is amazing. And not just the wines on itself, but also the vintages. You know, I had to learn myself, to teach myself not to think in vintages. Because I used to go to Parker and check great vintage, and you go after, you get a bottle, and you know, actually, the higher the points and the higher the expectations, and the higher the disappointments. So the first thing I think I want to give to people, to, you know, to, in educational way, discover your own palate. Discover your own palate and try the wines. And be honest with yourself. If it's just an 89-point wine and you like it, say to yourself, I like this. And not many people dare to say it in, you know, in a wine group when you're together, and you actually, you like the 88-point score on average better than, you know, the 98. So what's wrong with that? It's your palate. You own your own palate. So it's all about reference. It's all about, and it will change. When you're open-minded, when you learn, your palate preferences will change, undoubtedly, as it did with me. But yet, I'm not just in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Do not think I'm drinking only Châteauneuf-du-Pape. You know, I just came from Paso, and I really was surprised by the quality of the wines there. And not just the quality, also what I got out of it, the hedonistic feeling. You see the passion, you feel the passion, and speaking with the winemakers, you get the passion, the same passion you get out of the winemakers, and the talking, the expression you get out of the wine. And I think that's the base for every wine, the passion. It should be made by passion. Back to the grape varieties, white grape varieties. We'll be able to drink a white wine as well. Interesting is only 7% of the wines in Châteauneuf-du-Pape are white. And only 3% goes out for export, because locally they drink and they sell wine. So it's a tiny production. And I remember in 2005-06, I went to Paris to a nice restaurant. I will not give you the name. It was 1-2-star restaurant, and I ordered a white Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and sommelier came. White Châteauneuf-du-Pape doesn't exist. I said, now you're in trouble. Now it's rare, but you know, and that's the same with wines. You are not used to the flavors of, and it's a well-made wine. You need to build up a reference, and that's white Châteauneuf-du-Pape can be very unique in taste. So whenever you get a chance, try to at least to get a sip. And I think that's important for you as well. Even when you are not in wine and you think this is not a wine that I like, but try to get a sip. It builds up your reference, and you will need that. And the next time you will recognize things, and It's a very interesting thing, yeah. Now, these are details we go through. These are all things you find in the book, pages and pages. It's divided, actually, Chateauneuf-du-Pape, there are 5 communes, and but that's trivial. I just want to go through. Old vines. Old vines, I think Chateauneuf-du-Pape is an area with Chateauneuf-du-Pape vines of Grenache, the oldest in the world, and the largest area. That makes Chateauneuf-du-Pape really unique. Whenever you get a chance to taste the difference between a 30-year-old fine wine or a 120-year, it is amazing. It's an amazing experience. That's why I put in the small pocketbook the average age of the vines, that people are more aware of what they are drinking. You know, and you think, okay, I like something, you know, but why? And you check, okay, it's the blend, okay, what's the upbringing? It's all in the book. You see all of a sudden, oh, this is 110-year-old. Oh, that's the vines, not the wine, the vines. So that's interesting for you to use as a reference when you go to a wine store and you check information. You go to the Chateauneuf and you see, oh, this is a blend I like with more Syrah in, or Mourvedre. It gives more structure. The winemaking is traditional, although people used to say that the wines used to be more modern these days. To be honest, I don't think so. The young winemakers who are taking over right now from their fathers, they are more aware of the quality of the grapes they get in. They separate grapes. They try to make new cuvées with an own identity, and they do a better selective picking, or they go back in the vineyard. To be honest, and with respect, the old generation, they just harvest everything, put together in a vat, and in December they had a check, okay, it's good. I think this is a good tendency in a way when you do not commercialize. And I think the Chateauneuf-du-Pape winemakers are honest in this. They do not get the money from the high-end cuvées like the Da Capo, who are going for $300, $400, $500. They go off from domain $40, $50 or an average. So the winemakers do not get the money. It's about availability. The problem with these cuvées is really that when it gets a high rating, everybody runs after it, drives the price up, and there are only 3,000 bottles. For instance, the Pure, lovely wine made from vines 120-year-old, 100% Grenache, is such a wine. Only 3,000, 3,500 bottles are made. So if you see that, or if you project that in the world, that's so tiny. So I think that's in general a problem, but still, whenever you get a chance and you want to treat yourself, give a special treat, or your wife or your partner, it's worth the money. It's worth the momentum, but only if you decide before. And you say, okay, let's try this, and be open-minded, forget about the money, and you will have, I think, a unique experience. They are very special wines, very special. We go, destemming is part of, people say they do destem, taking stems out of the grapes, with the bunches where they are, means that you have lesser green flavors that can come from unripe stems. And they think that this is a modern sign. It's partly true. But already in 1900, they did destemming with special tools in the vineyard. So they already did totally destem in the vineyards. And I had several old wines from 1900, 10, 20, 30 that were totally destemmed and are still singing. So what's the truth? Is it for me, it's not modern in that way. I think this is part of the philosophy that winemakers are more after upfront fruit. You know, a wine should taste like, you know, like coming from a berry, a grape berry, and not liquid oak or, you know, the vanilla or I'm nothing against oak or the upbringing in general. When you think, okay, I think this is right, okay, you have my blessing. But in general, I think when you are looking for a drink that's hedonistic, I think that the first thing you're asking for is fruit. The fruit, the grape produces juice, and it should taste primarily about juice. And secondary, you can add everything, but I think that's a very important thing because people sometimes forget where wine is about. It's coming from the grapes. You see the winemaking, you have several types of storage, concrete tank, and in the middle you have the modern foederer, stainless steel. This is an old shabby wine cellar, shabby in a way that you think, do you really think that something decent is coming from this wine cellar? This is one of the most famous winemakers, Henri Bonneau, a picture of his wine cellar. And sometimes I tell people that they should watch what's written on the left below barrel, small one. It's written propre. So when you have a picture of the whole cellar, I did not put a picture in it because it looks really shabby. And you see that propre. It's all about what's in the vessel, in the barrel, not the outside. It's about the wine. And he makes what you ever have a chance, because these wines are very rare, he makes one of the most hedonistic wines you can imagine. Unbelievable. New oak. Some producers use substantial new oak. Again, I do not have anything against new oak or old oak or whatever, as long as it doesn't dominate in a way that there is no balance, or, you know, in a way I do not like it. That's too much. That's where, you know, in 2 days I will be in Napa Valley. That's for me the center of, it could be called Oak Valley. I brought 12 bottles of old Chateauneuf-du-Pape for the winemakers there. I will have an event there. And old Chateauneuf 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And I want to show there, and all these wines do not have any oak. I was, in December, was in New York. I'm very happy not in New York and at the East Coast now, because actually my schedule was first the East Coast, so I'm very happy I canceled that. We were sitting in a setting of some wine geeks, and one of them really admired big wines and oaky and not oaky enough, big oak. And I took a bottle. I had a bottle with me, Chateauneuf-du-Pape, and we had all these big wines, Synchronon, you name it. And I poured the bottle and I said, wow, great wine, great. It's really interesting, complex. The oak is very well integrated. There's a little bit of oak, but I said, I'm sorry, but it's not oak at all in this wine. It's coming from concrete. So you missed the oak? Or did you create the oak yourself? You see, people are so after the thing that they think that this is only the way you go. When you are narrow-minded, you know, one time you will be punished. I can tell you. And that it was his time. So he felt embarrassed. And it became the wine of the evening. So, and it was a 2007 Charvet, for you to know. Romantic wine cellar, very old, historical, at Nalis, beautiful. Many bottles. They keep the bottles in general with the bigger producers. They store the bottles after bottling, depending on 6 months up to 1 year before they go out for sale. Clos-des-Papes is a very famous producer. He has about 55 distributors all over the world, and is a very constant producer in quality. And this is me in Dallas. No, I cannot imagine I was so, laughing with just one glass. They're full. And so let's see what's the time. Okay, now I think we go to the wines. It's maybe more interesting. The wines we are able to drink. Yeah. Okay. I'm not used to do this. I like a setting where you drink all together, but a little bit difficult. Chateauneuf-du-Pape, the white grape varieties are the Rosanne and the Claret and Grenache. And they have all their own characteristics, and very important is that most of them go in a blend like this. It's about 35% Rosanne and Grenache Blanc, but also Bourbon. Bourbon is a very strange grape variety. It never ripens, so it always gives a kind of freshness to the wine, and can be a very interesting grape variety for pleasurable. It cools down the wine a little bit, even in a red wine, because it's allowed to blend the red grapes with the white grapes, not after fermentation. So it's not allowed to blend the wines afterwards. So that's different from California, where are no rules at all, I think. Actually, that's interesting to mention. Chateauneuf-du-Pape was, we know the AOC, Appellation Contrôlée system, was the first in France. Appellation Contrôlée was set up by the owner of Fortia, Baron. So what you get out of Chateauneuf-du-Pape white is you can always get a flowery a bit of Provençal herbs. What typical is, and we will see that in the red later, is that kind of silky layer coming from the Claret and from the Rosanne. There's a few producers make 100% Rosanne wine, like Beaucastel. They make the Vivigne Rosanne, and also in the regular one is a lot of Rosanne. And what's interesting is that most of the winemakers block the mallow. That means, technically, it's very easy. It preserves freshness. So when you go to the mallow, it will be softer, and when you block it, you will keep a little bit more attack in the wine. But you have some winemakers like Beaucastel do not block the mallow too, because they are after a more silky round wine. It's just their style. Temperature, do not forget about temperature. The whites are in general too cold, and the reds too hot. Too often I go to a restaurant and 70 degrees plus, and especially Grenache with a high alcohol content should be drank low. Try to start with 50. As soon as you have poured the wine, the temperature goes up, and you will find the momentum, it tastes the best. So you check out yourself, but when it's too high, the alcohol dominates and you get a disjointed wine, a flabby wine. So that's very important. When you go to a fancy restaurant, you get this served by a so-called sommelier. I've never against sommeliers. I have very good experiences with, but sometimes they can be a little bit snobbish. And just when you say, okay, can you please cool? No, this is how we serve the wine. No, that's not how I want to have the wine. So, to be honest, so check the temperature of red wine. When you have it at room temperature, just put it 15, 20 minutes in the freezer, and that's the right temperature. What's typical for Chateauneuf-du-Pape, especially the ones with they have all Grenache and Syrah, is the part of the Garrigue. The Garrigue, you will maybe have heard it before, is kind of strong taste, a herby taste. It's coming from the wild herbs of the Provence. So not the lavender or not the cultivated, but really the wild herbs. They are aside of the vineyards. You see bushes with all kind of wild herbs, and you get this. It's very typical for Chateauneuf-du-Pape in the wine. It's too warm. Oh, it's good. You see that again. This is the 06 vintage. 07 is Parker, the best vintage ever. Okay, I will not argue with them, but not for me. For me, sometimes I have better experiences with 06. 06 is in general sexy, it's elegant, it's open. 05 is a little bit more tannic, but it's opening now. I had a chance to join a big tasting 05, and I must say that wines are really blossoming at this time. So in general, Chateauneuf-du-Pape has a sequence of good years, with exception of 2002. They had a flooding just 1 week before the harvest. Everything was gone. Really water that high. There are some pictures in the book, and that's, imagine, good vintage. The winemakers are waiting to harvest, and then you get all of a sudden the storm, and everything is ruined.
So this is the tradition, the Grape.
Yeah.
Right on.
Tradition Giraud, you have a wine consultant who was really very popular this time. His name is Philippe Cambi. When you do a Google search, you cannot miss him. He's a very big man. He's bigger than me, and he's a very nice man. And he's a man who is after what I was telling, the fruit in a wine. He wants fruit, upfront fruit in a wine, and you will be able to taste the difference in the styles. So when you have the Giraud, and he's apparently also Clos Saint-Jean, this the last wine. He's also the not a winemaker, but the consultant. Okay, it's not corked. Montredon, 2007 big vintage. It's a lush vintage. It's a bombastic vintage. But when I have a bottle and I cannot finish myself in 1 or 2 days, I do not think that's a good situation in a way. They are really big wines. And 2007 Montredon is an exception. Montredon is a big producer, really, really big producer. And they're making good wines, but for me only good in a way. It lacks a bit excitement. Maybe it has to do with when you're big, to control things or to be more flexible in things. You need a rigid system. I don't know, but they have all ingredients to make a good wine. And I have good hope that one time they will make a different cuvée. Right now they just make one wine, and I had a chance to taste some different from different barrels from different parts in the vineyard, and I think whenever they want to launch another cuvée, they will be very successful. But this is 2007, very dark in color. That's in general, and very fruity upfront, very bombastic wines. Nice touch of garrigue in it. You can taste in the finish a little bit oak. You can see in the book they use 30-40% 1 year, some new oak barrels. So you'll get that, especially at young age. It will integrate. It's not too dominant, so I'm not afraid of that. Clos Saint-Jean is Vivigne. Vivigne means old vines. So they make several cuvées. The base is the one without the Vivigne we have in Europe. For the US market, they make the Vivigne non-filtre. So it's not filtered because that's where the other one is not filtered also. But you know, they just put it on a label, it sells better. Okay. Then they have another cuvée is Combe de Fou. Combe de Fou is in the south. They have a vineyard. It's a combe, so that's a combe. And the Fou is the crazy man. At that time, in 1920, there were only stones, big stones there. And one of the winemakers, he decided to plant vines there, and they called them the Fou. So that's where the name is coming from. The other cuvée is the Deus Ex Machina, and very expensive one, very, you know, very hard to find. And the blend is 60 Grenache and 40 Mourvedre. But the Mourvedre is totally different from the Mourvedre from Beaucastel, the stinky Mourvedre. Because the Mourvedre from Clos Saint-Jean is on the south slopes, sees a lot of more sun. So when the Mourvedre is just ripe or just a little bit more than ripe, then you get the tendency to get more the stinkiness out of it, or it gets more sun. It behaves a little bit more upfront fruit, and that's typical for the Clos Saint-Jeans. And they make another, the Sanctus Sanctorum, just one barrel, 600 liter barrel, very rare wine. I had a chance to taste it in Tucson. In Tucson, they drink Chateauneuf-du-Pape in December, and magical wine, great wine. And there only are 225 magnums. So when you get the chance to buy one, grab it. And when you don't want to spend the money, call me. I will. No, it's worth every penny. It's a unique experience, and you will never regret. I think we are almost set. Yes?
Yes.
Other questions from your side?
We can either open it up for Q&A right now, or we can move to the next room, which you'll be able to taste all of these wines that Harry described. There is a $5 tasting fee, which is just to cover costs and such. But these are great wines, especially for that price. And of course, he's got his book, he's got the ebook, the wine guide, and I'm sure you will do some book signing if people would like that. So we can turn our attention over to next door. So thanks for coming out. Thank you, Harry, for coming out all the way from the Netherlands and making your passion for Chateauneuf contagious, because I just get really thirsty watching you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.